This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is facing growing international pressure after his troops prevented aid from the United States and other nations from entering the country over the weekend. Vice President Mike Pence is now in the region warning the socialist dictator that his days are numbered. Our George Thomas is in the newsroom with the latest developments. George.
The vice president told Juan Guaido, Venezuela's self-declared interim president, that the United States is steeled to stand behind him until liberty and democracy are restored in the South American nation. Pence is in Bogota, Colombia, meeting with Guaido and representatives from more than a dozen countries in the Americas who are also calling for Maduro to step down. The U.S. Treasury announced on Twitter that it was sanctioning the governors of 4 Venezuelan states aligned with Maduro. These officials are involved in corruption and blocking the delivery of critical humanitarian aid, the Treasury said on its Twitter feed that you see right there. Meanwhile, in the Venezuelan town of Urena, residents are cleaning up after a weekend of deadly riots that saw at least 4 people killed and more than 300 people injured at border crossings. On Saturday, trucks filled with U.S. food and medicine tried repeatedly to deliver their cargo, but were met by Venezuelan troops firing tear gas and rubber bullets. 2 of the trucks, by the way, were reportedly set on fire by government forces. Pence announced the U.S. is sending more aid to the region.
In the days and weeks ahead, the United States will continue to deliver life-saving food for the hungry, medicine for the desperately ill, and shelter for those displaced by the brutality and deprivation of the regime. And while we stand with the Venezuelan people, we will also continue to stand up to all of those who would oppress them.
Pence also made it very clear that the United States is not ruling out military force, a sentiment echoed by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who told Fox News on Sunday that the United States is, quote, going to do the things that need to be done to make sure that democracy reigns. Pompeo called Maduro's actions over the weekend as the worst of a tyrant. Mark, back to you.
All right, George, thank you. Joining us now is CBN News contributor Chuck Holton. Chuck, you were just there in Venezuela. Just how bad is it?
Well, when you talk to the people that are coming out of Venezuela, they will tell you that there is no food, there's no medicine. There are children literally starving to death. I saw videos and photographs of empty shelves and of hospitals that would just curl your hair if you saw them. I mean, the state of their medical care is unbelievably bad. And not only that, I actually was shown video of groups of prisoners that are being let out of prison by Maduro's regime if they agree to fight for Maduro, and they're being armed and sent to the border towns. I have one friend that owns a shoe store right across the border in Venezuela. His store was looted and robbed by these gangs of criminals that are just roving around that area. He said they're assaulting people, stealing vehicles, and taking anything they want, and really exacting a heavy price on the populace.
Do you think Pence's visit to Colombia will make a difference to aid getting into the country?
Well, not if Maduro has anything to say about it. Maduro is dead set against getting aid into the country. He says that there's no need for aid. He says that Venezuela is doing just fine. They don't have any problems. And obviously that's, just an absolute lie. You talk to the people that, here's the thing. The populace is so powerless against the Maduro regime because they're being propped up by Russia and by Cuba. Maduro himself is being protected by over 400 Russian mercenaries right now. He doesn't even trust his own military to protect him. And with an unarmed populace, millions of people have come out to protest, have come out to express their displeasure. They have burned tires and vehicles, set up barricades, done everything they can do, but they're no match for armed National Guard troops and armed these colectivos, the groups, the gangs of criminals that are being armed by Maduro. And so until there is some way for them to literally take power back from Maduro, it's hard to see how things are really going to change.
Chuck, how is Juan Guaido responding? What has he been doing to push back?
Well, Juan Guaido is trying to gain international coalition against Maduro, and he's been fairly successful at that. We've seen him over the last weekend. He was there in Cucuta leading the groups of the trucks full of aid to try to get them to the people, to show the people that there is aid available, that there are people that want to help, and to show them just how much their dictator is not allowing that to happen. Now, this is the problem. Again, the military is by and large sticking by Maduro. Now, from what I hear, talking to the wives of some military officers, they don't necessarily support Maduro. They don't want to do this, but nobody wants to be the first guy to stand up to that dictator, because that's a very dangerous place for your family. And if you knew that your family would be murdered, would be disappeared, if you stood up to that dictator, it would be a difficult proposition for you to be the first one to stand up and go, I'm going to switch sides. Now, they did have over 60 soldiers that crossed the border on Saturday and switched sides and declared their allegiance to Juan Guaido, but they are mostly lower-ranking people. They need generals and above to do that. And I think probably the CIA could make that happen with the proper application of a few $1 million in cash. But they'd have to also be able to get those people's families out of Venezuela. And so it may take some sort of military response to make this happen.
Okay. All right, Chuck Holton, thank you so much for staying on top of this for us.
Yeah, good talking to you.
In other news, President Trump is heading to Hanoi in Vietnam for his second meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. The president says he's proud of what his administration has accomplished so far with North Korea, and that the U.S. is hoping the summit just improves relations with the regime. Speaking to the nation's governors before he left Washington, Trump said he expected a very tremendous summit.
We're going to accomplish a lot. There's going to be a very good meeting. Tremendous things are happening for our country. I'm now, right after this meeting, I leave for Vietnam, where I meet with Chairman Kim, and we talk about something that, frankly, he never spoke to anybody about.
Trump also said he expected a signing summit on a trade deal to be held soon with China. And we're going to have more on the summit between the president and Kim Jong-un and what could happen. That's tonight on CBN's Faith Nation, only on the CBN News Channel. Top defense officials paid a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border this weekend. Officials say the visit by Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan and General Joseph Dunford focused on how the military could reinforce efforts to block drug smuggling and other illegal activity. The border sites are on a list of high-priority projects the Department of Homeland Security submitted to Shanahan that could cost more than $3 billion. It would include construction of roads, replacement of vehicle barriers, and dilapidated pedestrian fencing, and installation of lighting. Virginia's embattled lieutenant governor on Sunday compared himself to lynching victims. Calls for Justin Fairfax's resignation come after allegations of sexual assault by 2 African-American women. Fairfax strongly defended himself and lashed out at his critics during the 2019 legislative session. His comments come in reference to legislation that the General Assembly passed, expressing profound regret for lynchings in Virginia between 1877 and 1950.
And I've heard much about anti-lynching on the floor of this very Senate, where people were not given any due process whatsoever, and we rue that. We talk about hundreds, at least 100 terror lynchings that have happened in the Commonwealth of Virginia under those very same auspices, and yet we stand here in a rush to judgment with nothing but accusations and no facts, and we decide that we are willing to do the same thing.
Fairfax has opposed an effort by House Republicans to hold a hearing on the allegations, saying the matter should be investigated by law enforcement. Philadelphia is booting a Catholic agency out of caring for foster children unless it endorses same-sex relationships. It comes at a time when Philadelphia desperately needs foster care help, but the city is willing to lose this faith-based agency because of its religious belief. Paul Strand has more.
Much like the rest of the country, Philadelphia faces a challenge when it comes to finding homes for children. In March, it put out an urgent call for 300 foster families. At the same time, however, it demanded that Catholic social services endorse same-sex relationships or be ousted from their contract to do foster care business with the city.
Catholic Social Services has been serving the city of Philadelphia for over 100 years, and they've been doing that consistent with their religious mission since then. But the city has said that if they want to continue working, they have to endorse same-sex relationships, which is the one thing they're not able to do.
In court, lawyers at the Beckett Fund pointed out Catholic Social Services helped 2,200 foster children last year alone. So banning this agency is going to harm many children and the foster families who need the agency's help caring for those kids.
It's hurting families like plaintiff Miss Sharonell Fulton, who's fostered over 40 children in the past 25 years and has said she'd be devastated if Catholic closed. Catholic Social Services trains, supports, and provides ongoing advice and help to families like Miss Fulton. They have social workers who are on call 24/7.
Regarding the decision, Fulton wrote in the Philadelphia Inquirer, "As a single mom and woman of color, I've known a thing or two about discrimination over the years, but I have never known vindictive religious discrimination like this, and I feel the fresh sting of bias watching my faith publicly derided by Philadelphia's politicians." Reeves points out Philadelphia is booting Catholic Social Services, though not one same-sex couple has complained about the agency.
There's a clear foster care crisis, and 35 beds are sitting empty today because the city won't work with an effective foster care agency.
Though this one is battling back in Philadelphia, other faith-based agencies have given up and closed down in Boston, Washington, D.C., Buffalo, and throughout Illinois rather than endorse same-sex relationships. As for Catholic Social Services, they say they won't give up and they'll continue to fight on, because the one thing they can't do is endorse relationships that aren't consistent with their religious beliefs. Paul Strand, CBN News.
Are you or a loved one between the ages of 50 to 80 years old? If you are younger than 80 years old, do you receive Social Security, disability, or Medicare? If you answered yes, you may qualify for $30,000 in funeral insurance for only pennies a day. The average funeral costs around $11,000, and Social Security only pays $255, leaving your loved ones to pay the balance. Call now to see if you qualify for $30,000 in funeral expense coverage from Senior Legacy Life. Your rate will never increase. Your benefits will never decrease, and there is no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing disease or illness. Don't be a financial burden to your family. Lock in your rate by completing an application over the phone right now. Will you qualify for funeral insurance up to $30,000 for only pennies a day? Find out for free by calling Senior Legacy Life.
Call 1-800-915-6014. That's 1-800-915-6014. 1-800-915-6014.
Do you worry about your mom or dad living alone? I know I did. Hi, I'm Joan London, and there's a free service you need to know about. It's called A Place for Mom. They're the nation's largest senior living referral service, and they can help you find the right senior care fast.
Mom and Dad, we found this place. It's great. You can afford it. You're going to love it. Let's go look at it.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. Believe me, I know, I've been there. Finding senior care for a parent can be difficult, but now there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-873-4421. 800-873-4421. Call 800-873-4421 today.
Pope Francis spoke on the last day of the Vatican's Abuse Summit, calling predator priests a tool of Satan and the abuse and cover-up of it evil. He told Catholic Church leaders, "We need to recognize with humility and courage that we stand face-to-face with the mystery of evil, which strikes most violently against the most vulnerable, for they are an image of Jesus." The Pope also vowed to confront abusers with the wrath of God and make victims a priority. Although the Pope pledged an 8-point set of priorities to protect children and other victims of abuse in the Church, people who were victimized in their childhood spoke out, calling for strong action and not just words.
Zero tolerance for priests that abuse children, zero tolerance for bishops that cover it up, and the opening up of the archives and the evidence around the world.
The Vatican says the church will announce concrete initiatives in the near future. Thousands of Christians descended on Camping World Stadium in Orlando Saturday to pray that America will turn back to Jesus. They also declared a new era of evangelism. It was all part of an event known as The Send, a collaboration of national ministries. Organizers encouraged believers to get off the sidelines and to become active in sharing their faith. Lou Engle of Lou Engle Ministries was one of several sponsors of the event. Ahead of the event, he spoke with CBN's Charlene Aaron about it.
First of all, tell us more about The Send and its purpose.
Well, we feel that we're moving into an era in American history where, like the 70s, a new Jesus movement is going to take place. We believe Jesus the evangelist is going to be manifested like he did in the days like Billy Graham and Bill Bright and Oral Roberts. And it's 70 years, and we feel like there's a shift into a new day where, like the 70s, people will get saved in the Jesus movement by the thousands. And that's what The Send is about, being an inspiration and an ignition of that kind of movement.
I love it. And many, have asked the question, who's the next Billy Graham? And you say that the mantle will be upon many people. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, it was 7 years ago when we were doing the call, and these Andy Bird and others came and said there's coming a shift to the call. And it will be stadiums and signs and wonders and Billy Graham's mantles coming on the nation. Then we received a dream in which literally Billy was going up into heaven, and his mantle was hovering between heaven and earth, and then shattered into 1,000 pieces and begin to invade human hearts. We believe that at the passing of Billy Graham, a spiritual transfer is taking place to thousands who believe that they can see Jesus manifest his evangelistic Luke 4:18 anointing. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me to preach the good news.
Why do you think this message of this event is resonating with so many people?
I think it's because God is breathing it. I've done so many gatherings in arenas and stadiums, and there are certain ones it seems like a wind suddenly blows, and it's way beyond social media. The Lord himself is creating the sound, and people are hearing the sound. There is a building expectation with the chaos of our present time in America. Maybe Jesus is preparing the way for a great awakening and a missions movement out of the turmoil of the present moment.
Lou Engle, thank you so much for joining us today. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You bought life insurance to protect your growing family. Smart. But now your kids are grown and on their own. Maybe you don't need life insurance anymore, and you could use some extra cash to really enjoy your retirement, or maybe cover medical expenses. So you should know about Benefit Advance from Veris Settlement Partners. Benefit Advance is a life insurance settlement. You don't surrender your life insurance policy, you sell it for a lot more cash. You get an immediate payout, often hundreds of thousands of dollars, money to secure your retirement. The process is easy, and it can make a huge difference in your quality of life. If you're 70 years or older with a policy of $100,000 or more, Benefit Advance can give you the money you need to enjoy your retirement, take care of health care bills, even buy a family vacation home.
Call 800-516-8067. That's 800-516-8067.
Attention! If you currently do not get health insurance through your employer, or if you do not have health insurance, or if you just got divorced or married, had a baby, moved, or lost your health insurance coverage, listen closely. You are eligible for a new health care plan using Health Insurance America. A family of 4 can make up to $97,000 a year and still qualify for a new health care plan. Get coverage for doctor visits, prescriptions, hospital, dental, and vision for as little as $25 a week, with copays as low as $0. Health insurance rates have nearly doubled in the last 3 years. Stop paying the rising cost of traditional major medical and learn how Health Insurance America is saving people thousands of dollars a year on their health care plans. Don't waste hours on the phone or on a government website. Talk to a live health care consultant right now.
Call 1-800-940-5020. That's 1-800-940-5020. 1-800-940-5020.
Tim Tebow is headed back to the minor league baseball field with some new and impressive accomplishments away from the game. His new movie, Run the Race, just hit theaters this past weekend. Ephraim Graham caught up with the former NFL star and best-selling author ahead of the film's release.
Dave and Zach Truitt are two brothers with one unbreakable bond in the face of unbearable tragedies.
You're on somebody's radar, son.
It's not a big deal. It's just a letter saying that there's interest.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's a big deal, dude. I'm gonna get that scholarship. I'm gonna get us out of here. I don't want to end up like Dad.
Hey, you guys mind if I join you?
Yeah, that's my appetite.
We're family.
We're family. You're a drunk who left us after our mom died.
It's a story of finding hope and strength playing out in Run the Race. The first film project for executive producers and brothers, Robbie and Tim Tebow.
I think it has to do with the story. My goal was honestly never to get into the movie industry, and still not really.
Really? Wow.
It was more about being able to tell the story. When we read the script, it impacted me, and I was crying, and I showed it to my family, and they were crying.
Track season's around the corner. They give scholarships for track.
I can do this. I've got nothing to lose and a scholarship to gain. And you're gonna come with me wherever I go.
We see the Truitt brothers in this, and I know that you're working with your brother to get this film out to the masses. How would you compare the Truitt brothers to the Tebow brothers?
I think there's a lot of similarities to a certain extent because, you know, we were very close. We would push each other. We would compete all the time. Robbie helped make me better in sports and in life. Just having each other's back and that relationship. And I think it's probably my favorite part about this movie. It's about relationship because I believe life is about relationships.
And speaking of relationships, the newly engaged Tebow walked the red carpet at the film's premiere with his new fiancée, Miss Universe 2017, Demi Lee Nell Peters. What do you think your fiancé's first feature film?
I mean, I couldn't be more proud, but most of all, I am so proud of the reason and the meaning behind this film, and hopefully that is to bring people closer to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and for people to find hope in it.
I'm Zach. I'm the running back at Bessemer.
I don't date football players.
Tanner Stein plays Zach Truitt.
Cover for me. It's getting old.
And Evan Hoffer plays his younger brother, Dave.
What do you two think of these brothers' relationship in this story? I mean, I was really in love with the bond that they share.
I think it's the constant throughout the film. You know, it's a film about faith and all these different things, but it's mainly about the faith that the brothers have in each other.
I always wanted an older brother, and so this movie really gave, like, Run the Race really gave me an opportunity to have that. Like, we became best buddies while we were there. We really became brothers through the process, and
made it that much easier on set.
Seriously.
Yeah. For both of you, how are you most like your characters?
That's a good question. That is a good question. I can answer it for you.
And I can answer for yours.
You want to answer?
Yeah, you go first. You go first.
So Dave is like the epitome of just goodness and kindness, and I feel like that's who Evan is, like deep down. I don't mean to embarrass you, but it's true, and you know it.
Well, for the comparison for Zach and Tanner, I think that they're both just, like, I always say my favorite thing about Tanner is that he is always 100% himself, and you're never going to get any watered-down version of that. You're always going to get Tanner, and I think that's the same with Zach, is he's very him. It doesn't matter who he's with, where he is, he's him, and people love him for it.
I don't need your help with my kids.
Your boys don't need a coach. They need a dad.
Christopher Pahala plays the boy's struggling father.
I know life can be confusing. It's full of ups and downs. God does love you.
And Frances Fisher is a much-needed godmother.
For both of you, what attracted you to the project? What was it about the story?
For me, it was Chris Dowling, the director. I just worked on a movie called Where Hope Grows with him. And of course, the Tebows being involved. We have a dog at home named Tebow.
It was so meant to be. This is before. And his son is crazy about Tim Tebow.
Oh, wow.
And he has posters all over his room. This is before you got the job, so it was so much the hand of God. And you better be there.
Your character, a bit of a hero for these boys. What did you think of her?
I love this character, and I love playing her because she's a good person, good-hearted person.
And this story has been on the Tebow's hearts for the last 7 years.
The goal for me has always been to try to bring faith, hope, and love to encourage people. And, you know, the world's not always easy. Society is not always the easiest on us. And so if we can encourage young people in their journey, on their race, then it would be worth it.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Los Angeles.
Film to support at the box office. Well, coming up after the break, how Rabbi Yakel Eckstein is being remembered and his legacy.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 877-248-4097 to receive your free Carefree Dental Card information kit. Call 877-248-4097 now.
It's only a matter of time until your check engine light comes on, or worse yet, your car needs repair. That could mean a big surprise auto repair bill. That's why it's so important you call CarShield today.
I was elated that I had CarShield. I was more than happy.
It's no fun when you have a car and it's broken and you can't pay for it to get it fixed.
So, if your vehicle has 5,000 to 150,000 miles, just tell us the make and model of your car or truck and get an instant plan quote. In a matter of minutes, you can be covered.
My experience with CarShield is that they absolutely come through every time I need them.
If my car breaks down, I can count on CarShield to cover it for me. CarShield definitely has my back.
Now it's the time to make the smart choice and protect yourself from sky-high auto repair bills. Call now for a free and instant protection plan quote. It's only a matter of time until repairs are needed, and once your car breaks down, it's too late.
Call 1-800-507-8216. Get covered today.
Hundreds of Ukrainian Jews made Aliyah over the weekend and now call Israel home, thanks to the first freedom flight in memory of Rabbi Yakel Eckstein, who died earlier this month. It happened Sunday as part of the ministry he founded, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. The goal is to answer the call in Isaiah 11:12 to return the Jewish people, those who are the exiles of Israel, from the four corners of the earth to Israel. Many of them face anti-Semitism and poverty where they currently are. Eckstein's daughter Yael is now president of the ministry and says their ministry hasn't stopped for a minute due to the strong organization her father built to unite Christians and Jews. She says there are plans to double the number of Jews they are able to help return to their Jewish homeland. Well, that's all for today. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.